you guys, welcome back to the Pink Butterfly. It's your girl, Lady Sylvia. How you doing? So today I thought we would talk about reinventing yourself and some ways that we can reinvent ourselves. I wrote down a couple notes or a couple key topics that I didn't want to forget, but I did write them down here so that I can make sure that I talk about everything. So one of the first things about reinventing is the actual word. Let's start with the word. To is to do something over again. It's already been done. So the word or the maybe suffix it is, means automatically it tells you we're going to do this again. And then invent is to create something, to make something new. So we're going to make something new again. Reinvention. And that's what I want to talk about today. I am super excited because I just feel like I'm at a place in my life, time for me to reinvent myself, because that's what I feel is kind of like brewing in my spirit. It's like all I think about, all I dream about, all I can imagine is the bigger, better, destiny finding, leading, purpose driven, reinvented me. I want to try things that I normally would not have tried, or do things or go places that I normally would not have tried or not have gone. So some of the things that I wrote down and some of the ways that you can reinvent yourself is spiritually. I think before you try to reinvent yourself in any other way, you've got to try and reinvent yourself spiritually. And what I mean by that is, if you're not going to church and you are a believer in God and you do believe in Jesus, then it's a good thing if you're able to go to church. The word says, forsake not the assembling together of yourselves with like believers. That means you need to go to church to get fed. You need your spirit fed. If you're not able to make it to church, so many ministries these days have a internet ministry. There's ministries that come on TV. So I mean, there's really kind of no excuse if you really want to reinvent yourself or just change your spiritual life. I have an app on my phone and it spits out a Bible verse every single morning when my alarm clock goes off. It spits out a Bible verse, and that is the very first thing I do when I open my eyes. Is I thank God for allowing me and my kids to see another day. I pray for myself, my children, my friends, my family, and I read my verse. Then I get on social media. Then I get out the bed and seep out whatever is going on for the day. But the first most important way to reinvent yourself is to do it spiritually. And you don't have to jump in there and be a preacher tomorrow. Just start off by one scripture a day if that's what you need to do. The second way we can reinvent ourselves, the most important under spiritually, is mentally. I'm going to say this. If you know that you are not mentally healthy, nothing else is going to be healthy for you. Nothing else you do will flourish. You've got to take care of your mental health the same way that you take care of your physical health. You've got to go to therapy appointments. You've got to go sit and talk to somebody. You absolutely do. If medication is required, then you need to take the medication that's required for you. So, and a part of mental health is also stress. Don't let things stress you out. I know that's like easier said than done, but as much as possible, you can't let stuff stress you out. That wears on you mentally, which wears on you physically, and then you're left with spiritually to try to pick up the pieces. And if your spiritual bank is empty, then where are you? So at all costs, take care of your mental health and your mental well-being. Another way we can reinvent ourselves is to do it physically. Now I'm going to be blunt because Pink Butterfly does not, I don't lie, I don't hold punches, I don't keep nothing to myself. I do not exercise. Can't stand it. I think exercise is just mean. Now every blue moon, I would get on the treadmill for about 3 weeks strong. I'll walk for about 10 minutes, 3 weeks in a row. And then after that third week, I said, I don't want to do this no more. That's just not my thing. I absolutely know with some of the things that's going on with me, that exercise probably they say will help, but that's just not my thing. But it is important to reinvent myself physically. So I have challenged myself to walk on the treadmill every day while I watch some of my favorite YouTubers for 10 minutes a day. I really don't think that that's asking too much of myself to try to get my body in some type of tip-top physical condition. Reinvent yourself physically as well. Reinventing yourself intellectually. This is probably one of my favorite topics. We're all not Einsteins. We're all not super smart, and that's okay. We're all not called to be Mensa members, but you can always reinvent yourself intellectually. You can read the newspaper. You can read books. You can read, watch the news. I mean, anything that you can do to stimulate your mind and get yourself on a higher intellectual level. I like my pastor says all the time, if he's the smartest person in the room, there's a problem because he's not being challenged. So I like to be around people who may not know as much as I know about the Bible, but they know more about this other area, or they know this. It's always good to feed and teach, feed and teach. So you always want to constantly be training yourself intellectually. Learn something new. Even if it's something like, if you've never painted before, if you've never knitted a sweater, just anything, crossword puzzles. There are tons of games on the Apple Store that challenge you intellectually. So don't let your intellect die. Reinvent your intellect. Pick a dictionary or a thesaurus and learn a new word a week, a new word a month. I mean, what can it hurt? You look super smart and you learned a new word. Another way that we can reinvent ourselves is sexually. I plan on doing a whole nother video on that one particular subject. It seems like sex is such a hot topic, honey. From the pulpit to the bedroom, either people want to talk about sex or they scared to talk about sex. But reinvent yourself sexually. If you're married, please listen to what I say. Married. If you're married, then you and your partner need to spice things up. Reinvent what's been going on in that bedroom for the last 21 years. Girl, go get you some wigs, get you some colorful lips, and get you some pleather outfits. And when that man come in there, baby, he don't know if he coming home to the angel or the little naughty schoolgirl. Reinvent your sex life. Now, I am not speaking to those people who are not married, including myself, because if I'm going to be true to myself and true to what I believe, then I should not be having sex and I'm not married anyway. That is a whole different video. Another way that we can reinvent ourselves is financially. Just because you may have gotten into a financial bind now does not mean that you can't get out of it. There are so many different YouTube videos, there are books, there are different pamphlets, all kind of things that you can find out how to reinvent yourself financially. If you might need to get a second job, you might need to sell something. I've seen people reinvent themselves by filing bankruptcy, and it was like, wow. I've seen someone file bankruptcy, let's just say December of 2006, and by January of 2008, this girl could get anything she want. Like, filing bankruptcy was better than my bad credit, if that makes sense. So it's not to be looked upon as something shameful if that's a route you have to take, or credit counseling, or saving money. Whatever you have to do, reinvent yourself financially. It's kind of like hitting the reset button. When you reinvent yourself or you reinvent one facet of your life, you kind of hit the reset button and say, wait a minute, something needs to change. Let me start this all over again. And the only shameful thing comes with when you know better, you do better. So if you do have to file like bankruptcy or go to credit counseling classes or get a second job or whatever it is that you have to do. The only shameful thing would be having a second chance and not have learned your lesson. That's the only shameful thing in it. Rich people do it all the time. That's why bankruptcy was created, and credit counseling and all these other services. That's why they were created, honey, to bail out the rich people. But somebody in the average working community found out, hold on, if the rich people could do it, I can do it too. So you can always reinvent yourself financially, reinvent yourself domestically. If you don't cook and clean, why? But it's never too late to learn how to cook and clean. That's something you should have been taught as a child, but if you weren't, okay. But it's never too late to learn how to cook and clean, how to make your own pillows, or just how to put up a Christmas tree, how to decorate a Christmas tree. Learn to reinvent yourself in ways that you probably never thought of. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to reinvent yourself. You just sit down and say, I want to change this, or I want to do this better. And that's reinvention. You can reinvent yourself as a parent. That's something that I'm having to do right now. I talk a lot about my kids on my channel, and my daughter is now 19 and she's in her second semester of college. She's a freshman, and I'm having to reinvent our relationship, because for years it was, I am mother, you're a child, you do what I say, end of story. As she got older, we kind of had to work with each other a little bit as she got older and needed, and rightly so, her independence and growing up and like that. But now she's 19. I'm not saying she's a grown woman, because she's 19. But our relationship is changing. She's still my daughter. I'm still her mother, but we're kind of in the mother-daughter, friend, confidant zone thing. We always were. But now, as she's becoming more mature and growing up, it's changing. Even my relationship with my son is being reinvented. He's a junior in high school. He has a girlfriend. He's driving. This is a whole new thing for me, to reinvent my relationships with my kids like this. So you can always reinvent yourself as a parent. You can always reinvent yourself as a husband or wife. You can do better. You can read books. You learn your husband's love language. Husband, you learn your wife's love language. It's never too late to reinvent yourselves as a couple and as individuals. I firmly believe if you reinvent yourself as an individual, you earnestly want to reinvent yourself for the good, not a midlife crisis reinvention, but you earnestly reinvent yourself for the good individually, you will automatically become a reinvented couple, and it will be awesome. But both people have to do it. I can't reinvent myself and he stay the same. Then our marriage, our relationship will stay the same. And you can always reinvent yourself at any time. There is no set time that you have to reinvent yourself. I just want you to know that I'm excited about reinventing myself. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to do. I hope that you get excited about reinventing yourself on some level. You don't even have to reinvent yourself on all the levels I just named. You can reinvent yourself on one level at a time. You don't have to wait for your birthday to reinvent yourself. You don't have to wait for the famous one, January 1st, New Year, to reinvent yourself. Tomorrow waits for no man. You can reinvent yourself right now. In parting, the one thing I do want to say about reinventing yourself is that the key word is yourself. It's always good to admire people, and you like their style, you like their clothing, you like their whatever it is. But you can admire, but don't emulate. That's not reinventing yourself. That's copying. You never want to emulate, because then you're not being your true, authentic self. That's not reinvention. That's called copying. So be excited about reinventing. I'm excited about reinventing myself. I'm probably 9 times out of 10 reinventing myself in every single way that I've listed here. And I'm just excited to see where I go from here. So I hope you guys have a mighty, mighty blessed week and reinvent yourself. Peace.